10 facts you didn't know about Christmas. Number 10. The Great Christmas Escape. During World War II, there were approximately 1,000 prisoner of war camps in Germany. Despite generally poor conditions, prisoners were permitted occasional deliveries of luxury items, particularly at Christmas. Knowing this, American and British intelligence agencies teamed up with the US playing card company Bicycle to create a special deck of cards to be given to all POWs as Christmas presents. The deck was made by hiding maps of top-secret escape routes between the paper layers that made up the cards. When soaked in water, you could peel these layers apart and prisoners could follow the maps to safety. The creation of the cards was such a closely guarded secret that their existence wasn't publicly acknowledged until decades later. Sadly, this means we don't know how many of the 250,000 Allied POWs escaped Germany thanks to these decks. Number 9. Christmas around the world. Different countries have a huge mix of different Christmas traditions and customs. For example, in Iceland, Christmas folklore includes the 13 Yuletide lads, who are effectively the Icelandic version of Santa Claus. The creepiest of the Icelandic Christmas characters is known as Grýla. She's the terrifying elderly mother of the Yuletide lads who kidnaps, cooks, and devours naughty children. The Japanese also have a very weird tradition. Historically, the country doesn't really celebrate Christmas, but in perhaps the greatest marketing move ever, KFC decided to promote itself as the place for Japanese festivities. It is estimated that 3.6 million households will have KFC as their Christmas feast in Japan this year. Then there's Catalonia in Spain, where nativity scenes regularly include the figure of Caganer, aka the defecating man. Although its origins are difficult to trace, one thought is that the figure could represent the fertilization of the land, ready for the rebirth of mankind. Number 8. 'Tis the season to break up. A 2012 survey of 2,000 households found that the average family will have at least 5 arguments on Christmas Day, with the most common sources of friction being food preparation, alcohol consumption, and choosing what to watch on TV. Yet, according to data analysed from Facebook, the 25th of December is the least popular day in the whole year for relationship breakups. Instead, there is a spike in the number of breakups both 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after Christmas. In fact, the first working Monday of January is such a common day for relationship breakdowns that it has become known as Divorce Day. A poll conducted by legal firm Irwin Mitchell found that 1 in 5 married couples consider separating from their partners shortly after the Christmas period. Number 7. Santa's Travels. Planet Earth is home to over 526 million children under the age of 14 who celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December. Would it really be possible for Santa Claus to deliver presents to all these children on just one night? Well, of course not. Even though the international dateline means that old St. Nick would have 34 hours to complete his colossal task, he would have to deliver to over 15 million kids an hour. That's 250,000 a minute, or 4,297 kids a second. Furthermore, it's not really that much of a surprise that Santa can shake his belly like a bowl full of jelly, considering that the total amount of cookies, mince pies, and other treats left out for him around the world amount to 150 billion calories of food. He would also have to fork out a whopping $348 billion to afford all the presents he has to give out. But this wouldn't be too much of a struggle, considering he tops Forbes' list of the world's richest fictional people with his net worth of infinity. Number 6. Christmas songs. Every year, December sees the saturation of radio channels playing Christmas songs. The best-selling holiday song of all time is Bing Crosby's White Christmas, which sold an estimated 50 million copies worldwide. Quite a few Christmas classics have somewhat unconventional origin stories. Lyricist Sammy Cahn and composer Jules Stein wrote Let It Snow during a 1945 heatwave in California, as they dreamed of cooler conditions. The story behind Santa Claus's coming to town is actually very sad. In 1934, James Haven Gillespie had been hired to write a Christmas song for a radio show. But his brother suddenly died, and he had to turn down the job due to his grief. But then, out of that grief, came one of the most successful Christmas songs of all time, as Gillespie reminisced about his mother warning him and his siblings that Santa was watching to find out if they were naughty or nice. Number 5. Rudolph the Parasitically Infected Reindeer. In 2013, Norwegian scientist Odd Halvorsen diagnosed the reason behind Rudolph's luminous red nose. He claimed it was caused by a parasitic infection of the respiratory system, which would probably be incredibly painful. But Rudolph nearly didn't have his signature red nose at all. The character was created in 1939 by Robert L. May as part of a coloring book to be sold at department store Montgomery Ward. Publishers were skeptical because of the association with red noses and alcoholism. This didn't seem to bother customers though, seeing as the coloring book sold 2.5 million copies in its first year of publication. Number 4. Commercialism. It's no secret that Christmas is big business. Holiday purchases account for a sixth of all retail sales in the US, or about $830 billion every year. 86% of Americans buy gifts for friends or family. But a recent survey by Pew Research revealed that 46% of people say that doing this makes them feel stretched thin financially, 36% stressed out, and 23% wasteful. And it's not just present buying that'll set you back. The average American spends $29.14 buying and posting Christmas cards, with over 2 billion cards sent each year. Then there's wrapping paper. Each year, gift wrapping sales in the US total approximately $9.36 billion. That figure is more than the combined GDP of Africa's 9 poorest countries and would require 30 million trees to be cut down. Number 3. Stockings rescued women from prostitution. The tradition of hanging stockings by the fireplace on Christmas Eve has been around for centuries, but its origins are difficult to trace. The most widely accepted story behind the iconic Christmas custom involves a 4th century family and 3 daughters about to be forced into prostitution. The family's father couldn't afford suitable dowries for his 3 girls, and so they had to turn to prostitution in order to get by. St. Nicholas, the bishop who has been immortalized as the reputed inspiration for Santa Claus, heard of the family's plight. In secret, he came to the house in the middle of the night. The door was locked, so he dropped 3 pouches of gold down the chimney, where they landed in stockings that had been drying by the fire. Although evidence for this story is limited and difficult to conclusively verify, it does tie together the notions of the generous gift giver who works secretly at night and the concept of stockings containing presents. Also, it was the origin of the phrase ho ho ho. Well, no, probably not that last bit, but it's nice to imagine. Number 2. Operation Christmas. Since 1964, Colombia has been home to a low-intensity war between the government and various paramilitary groups, crime syndicates, and guerrilla fighters. During the 2010 Christmas period, the military launched a surprisingly effective festive campaign to encourage fighters to demobilize. The campaign, appropriately nicknamed Operation Christmas, saw the decoration of trees along paths regularly used by insurgents. Christmas lights and messages were put up urging fighters to come home. One banner read, "If Christmas can come to the jungle, you too can come home. Demobilize. At Christmas, everything is possible." Many military commentators consider this to be one of the most successful demobilization campaigns ever conducted. 331 guerrillas demobilized as a direct result of Operation Christmas, which was a 30% increase from the previous year. Number 1. How the Fuhrer Stole Christmas. The Jewish origins of Jesus and the commemoration of his birth as the Jewish Messiah constituted a real problem for the Nazi racial ideology. Between 1933 and 1945, Hitler's regime therefore made steps towards separating the religious aspects of Christmas and making it more of a state celebration. Nazi ideologists argue that the Christian elements of Christmas had been superimposed on ancient shamanic traditions. They suggested that the holiday originally had nothing to do with the birth of Jesus Christ, but was meant to celebrate the winter solstice and the rebirth of the sun, which tied in with the idea of the swastika as an ancient symbol of the sun. Swastikas therefore replaced angels and stars as common Christmas decorations, with the latter seen as too religious and symbolic of Judaism. The most popular carol promoted by the Nazis was Exalted Night of the Clear Stars by Hans Baumann, which strongly promoted Nazi racial ideologies rather than traditional Christian themes. Thanks for watching, guys, and are you looking forward to Christmas, or are you stressing out about all the shopping you have left to do? As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.